Good morning. Thank you so much. It's fantastic to be back here. Thank you so much. It's so fantastic to be back here in Seoul and in Korea. And we have, I think, in the group people who are IT professionals, developers, business decision makers, as well as chief digital officers. And quite frankly, when I think about the future, it's going to take all of us. It's going to take all of us not only imagining what is possible, but perhaps more importantly for us to take action. And that's what my talk is all going to be about. And when we talk about the opportunity ahead of us, it's not about thinking of the computer industry or computing as separate from what's happening in the world. Because as we speak, computing is getting embedded everywhere. Computing is embedded in every place, whether it's at work, whether it's at home, whether it's in the stadiums, whether it's in the factories. Computing is getting embedded in every industry, whether it's the gaming industry, whether it's retail, whether it is consumer electronics or automotive. It's also in everything. Every car is a computer, every refrigerator, every air conditioner. And it's fascinating to see this massive transformation. And the thing that I have come to recognize is as computing becomes part of every walk of life, in every industry, in every community, in every economy, what we collectively need is tech intensity. In order to succeed in this changing world, every organization, whether it's a startup or a very scaled multinational, what we have to measure ourselves by is the continuous ability to build digital tech intensity. Now, the formula is actually very simple. It's two parts. One is how fast are you adopting the latest and greatest technology, bringing it into your organization? And second, what unique digital capability are you building inside of your organization? Right, that's it. The formula is as simple as that, except there are a couple of nuances. The first one is you want to make sure that you don't spend your time, your energy, your people on things that are available in the marketplace, that are in fact in some sense even commodities that you can be adopting quickly because the technology diffusion cycles are just getting faster and faster. So if you have your most scarce resource dedicated to something that is available as a commodity, then you would waste a lot of time and energy. There's one other thing though. The other part is really having trust in your providers, having trust in your supply chain. Because it's not just trust as in terms of technology, it's trust in terms of long-term stable business models and partnerships. Because in a digital world, if you get any one part of this equation wrong, it's going to have real consequences because of the network effects, the way digital ecosystems build. You want to be able to get the latest technology and then build your unique capability, but do it in a way that it's long-term sustainable. And that's, I think, as simple as that when it comes to building digital capability. Now, we at Microsoft are grounded on this mission. That is, we want to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. We are focused on people building organizations, institutions that will outlast even their own tenure inside of that organization. Especially when I come to Korea, I see that. I mean, when you all are builders of institutions, companies, organizations, and so it's very first-class software construct for us. Obviously, we want to do it right here in Korea and also take Korean companies, internationally. But perhaps the most important thing for us in our mission is it's not about our technology or celebrating anything that we have done. It's about your technology. It's your tech intensity. That's our mission. We want to build technology so that you can go on to build more technology. That's it. That's as simple as that is our vision. In fact, if you go back all the way to 1975 when Paul and Bill started Microsoft, they started it by building the basic interpreter for the Altair. Obviously, a lot has happened since then, but here we are in 2018. That vision, that sense of purpose to make tools and platforms and capability that we bring so that you can build your own digital capability still rings true. That's our mission. Now, the world in front of us is this very rich, intelligent cloud and intelligent edge world, right? It's the true expression of distributed computing in some sense that we have been waiting for. So as computing gets embedded everywhere, it gives us an amazing rich fabric to really transform every industry, every business process. And we're building a bunch of building blocks. We describe them as solution areas. Everything from how we're trying to modernize the workplace, how we're transforming business applications, building out this application infrastructure, data and AI, as well as gaming. These are all things that we're doing as solution areas. But ultimately, these are all about achieving digital transformational objectives for you. That is, how are you changing the way you connect with your customers? How are you able to change the empowerment of the people inside of your own organization? How are you optimizing your business operations? How is the very nature of the product or the service that you create changing the business model around it, right? Because it's not celebrating technology for technology's sake. It's about the business outcome. It's the societal outcome that you're driving that is most important to us. Now, I want to dig in a little bit. Let's start with even this area of applications and infrastructure. We're building out Azure as the world's computer. We have 54 plus regions. And if you sort of really looked at even the interconnect fiber between all of the regions, you'll go up to the moon thrice and back. So we are building tremendous capability worldwide so that you can start anywhere and expand to every place. Of course, we are adding regions right here in Korea. We have 2 data centers regions in Korea and expanding. We are adding more capacity. We are building a new data center in Busan. And so we're not stopping at this place. So which is we are really pushing the capacity that is available to every organization, every developer, every IT professional. But the interesting thing, as I said earlier, is it's about the intelligent cloud and the intelligent edge. Some of the most exciting cloud projects now are all about the edge and the cloud working in concert as a distributed fabric. Azure Stack takes Azure into every hospital, into every factory, into every retail outlet because of all the very sophisticated sensor fusion work that you are doing. We don't stop there. We can in fact take Azure with Azure IoT, put it on any sensor edge. In fact, Azure Sphere, there's something like 9 billion microcontrollers that ship every year. And we want to convert these microcontrollers that are part of microwave ovens or the HVAC systems or the cars and air conditioners all into Azure compute nodes. And so we built a silicon design, a secure operating system, and a cloud control plane. They're all work in concert. And the real thing for anyone looking at this is that the consistency from Azure Sphere to Azure IoT to Azure Stack to Azure, it's one computing fabric with one common identity plane, management plane, control plane, and data plane. So that means you can develop applications that can be deployed, that can truly harness all of this computing power. Now, the question is, what are we going to do with all this rich power? What every application developer in the room is doing is building AI, because there's no question that the key characteristic of applications we build are all going to be about incorporating this ability to reason over large amounts of data and giving AI capabilities, right? That's the real defining characteristic of whether the new game you build, the new retail experience you build, or the new financial services service you launch. Microsoft has been, at the forefront of some of the massive breakthroughs in AI. In fact, in the last few years, some of these breakthroughs have been coming fast and furious. It's because of the combination of what I just talked about, the availability of the compute power, the data, and real breakthroughs in algorithms. And in fact, if you look back in 2016, we achieved human parity in object recognition with the ResNet, or the coming of ResNet. We then went on and followed that up with the switchboard test in speech recognition, and really achieving human parity in speech recognition. And now we have the leadership position even in machine reading and comprehension using the Stanford Squad test. And very recently, we now have the breakthrough in machine parity, human parity when it comes to machine translation. So these are pretty big milestones in AI. But the question is, it's not about celebrating AI breakthroughs at a research level. They're important. They're groundbreaking. But the real challenge is, how do we democratize this access? And that's what we're doing. We're making all of these breakthroughs available as a set of services that can be customized, that can be extended, so that everyone here can incorporate them in their applications. In fact, if anything, the time from the research breakthrough to the ability for you to consume these breakthroughs is coming down, and we are committed to bringing that even further down. So that's really what Azure AI does. We have the best vision, speech, language capabilities. We also have fantastic infrastructure, whether it is CPUs or GPUs or FPGAs in the cloud or in the edge, so that you have the capability to build your own AI. Our vision is not about claiming we are an AI-first company. It is about making each one of you an AI-first company. That's really what our goal is. Now, the other area for us is, what are we doing in the context of the workplace and business applications? This is another space where really we are, in fact, if you think about what we're doing, whether in the gaming area or what we're doing in modern workplace and business applications, we ourselves are building these SaaS services and applications on top of Azure, on top of the intelligent cloud, intelligent edge, right? So it's the same architectural metaphor paradigm that we are reinforcing in our own development efforts. And so when you think about what's happening in the modern work, in business applications, the first thing is everything that we do is being infused with AI. Right? Cortana wakes up every morning. Even this morning, it saved me from a lot of embarrassment, because I sort of sent a whole bunch of mail yesterday saying I'll follow up with this, that, and that issue. And this morning, it woke up and told me, have you finished that work? So that ability for AI to really watch for your time, to ensure that your attention is focused on the most important things, is key. Speech transcription. When you're using Teams, it automatically transcribes meetings. So we are incorporating AI into everyday use cases. In fact, one of the recent things I found out was how AI with PowerPoint can help you build, in fact, more inclusive presentations, right? Just imagine, we all are trying to create work cultures that are all about inclusion and diversity. What if we sort of had even AI assist us in the everyday communications to be able to do that? Even when it comes to business applications, transformative AI, so which is anytime a record gets entered into CRM, we are taking that record and converting it into insights for sales productivity. Same thing with customer service, same thing with marketing. So the idea that these systems of engagement, systems of record are in place being translated or transformed into systems of intelligence. So AI is pervasive across Microsoft 365, across Dynamics 365. Teamwork and collaboration. One of the tools that has been transformative even internally at Microsoft for us is Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams, you can think of it as a scaffolding that really brings messaging, meetings, and collaboration all three of them together. So instead of you having to pick 3 different tools and then move between these tools, what if all of the applications came together in the context of your collaboration and messaging? That's what Teams does. Transformative in terms of how people come together, especially the culture of the organization changes when you really enable the organization to collaborate in such a friction-free way. In fact, we don't have just a horizontal productivity or business application suite. If you're a healthcare company, you're going to customize this for the workflows that matter in healthcare. If you're in retail, you're going to customize it for retail. That's sophistication. So it's not about a horizontal SaaS service, and then we have business applications that are separate for our industry. We want to bring these categories together. We want to remove that impedance that has existed between what is vertical business workflows and what is considered horizontal collaboration. It's also not just about knowledge workers. It's about knowledge work and first-line workers, right? So for the first time, people are equipping people who are in the front lines in the factories with HoloLenses. Why? Because it's a productivity boost. You're putting AR and mixed reality in retail so that because you can ensure that there is right layout and right merchandising. So the ability to take these applications and devices and give it both to first line and knowledge work is another key characteristic. And of course, you want to do all of this with the utmost security and compliance. We get that not every industry gets to participate without real regulatory oversight, without real tight audit controls. And so we've done the hard work of ensuring that this is all built in. Now, one of the other things that I want to sort of talk about is when you adopt something like Microsoft 365 or Dynamics 365, it's just not that you now have a SaaS application. One of the key unlocks in this AI era is your data is now exposed back to you as a first-class graph, right? That's the key, because going forward, you are going to use your own data to create that next level of productivity gain or business process optimization. So Microsoft Graph is essentially your data that now has become a first-class developer artifact that you can use internally and you can selectively expose to third parties and suppliers and partners to add value back to you. And in fact, we've taken that even one step further in our partnership with Adobe, in our partnership with SAP, with the Open Data Initiative, because we do not want silos in SaaS applications. We want to ensure that every business here is in control of their own data. That data which is today in SaaS applications is coming back so that it can add value to you. Or these intermediaries, the advertising intermediaries or marketplace intermediaries are not creating silos. So that's the goal of the Open Data Initiative. Now, to me though, ultimately, all this only matters, is only useful, only makes sense if we can translate into true tech intensity right here in Korea. Right? When I come here, what I'm looking for is what are the small businesses that are becoming more productive? What are the public sector institutions that are becoming more efficient? What are some of the largest multinationals coming out of Korea with amazing history? How are they becoming more competitive in a digital age? Health outcomes, educational outcomes. To me, that's the true measure of our ability to truly make progress in Korea, right? Ultimately, it's that success. And so I want to talk about a few stories that I learned, in fact, in the last multiple days coming into this meeting, coming into this conference. And quite frankly, it's inspiring. It's not just the whiz-bang technology. It's more the people in this room making these decisions, committing themselves to bring about change, right? That's what is really inspiring to me. Let's start with Pearl Abyss, which is, gaming is big here, right? We know that in Korea, some of the best game developers come out of Korea. They're just changing, in fact, the nature of gaming, right? As we speak, how games are built, how games are played, how games are watched is all radically changing. And Perlibis is a top, Korea-based game developer. They've had the #1 game hit in mobile, Black Desert Mobile here, and so it's great momentum. They've pushed us. They've pushed us to make sure that we have cloud infrastructure that has the latency characteristics that can support their needs. In fact, I've learned so much about the amount of metadata that gets collected with gaming and how that needs to be available back in real time so that the viewing experience can be transformed, how in fact gameplay can be continuously personalized. So the transactional throughput of games is something that is much more than any financial services company would be pushing us. And so it's fantastic for us to be able to sort of build out that amazing infrastructure so that game developers can be successful. Now, another example of transformation is Samsung. I mean, obviously the largest conglomerate in Korea, and this is their air conditioning business. So the fact that you can take an air conditioner and have a digital service, in this case something called the SNet Cloud, which is built on Azure, essentially what it does is it collects all of the data about the air conditioner, all of the environmental factors around the air conditioner, that means humidity or the temperature, and even people around. And so the ability to sense the real world around the air conditioner on a continuous basis, reason over that, create that AI capability, and make this air conditioner a smart air conditioner. So that means, what does it mean? It means energy savings. It means a more environmentally aware air conditioner. So there's something like 25% of the energy can be saved and optimized by having just this digital feedback loop with every air conditioner. It reduces costs by as much as 30%. So it's amazing to see how just having this malleable digital resource associated with the physical asset with a tight digital feedback loop can be very transformative. Now, in healthcare, we're working with 365MC that specializes in elective surgery. And so what they did is they collected tons and tons of surgical data, digitized it, and then created a service out of it for the surgeon the next time they are operating. If there is any anomalous movement of the scalpel, it detects it. So just think of it. Again, it's the ability to create an AI service that assists the surgeon while doing surgery so that you can have better outcomes. CarDoc, this is a very cool example, which is take the latest breakthroughs in computer vision and say, what if we can turn that process, the time when you have something wrong with your car and you need to go find a mechanic, it's just a laborious process, right? You're trying to find the right person to ship it, get the car to, you're trying to get a quote, you don't know what the real damage is. What if you can just take a bunch of photographs, and since that bunch of photographs can really be using computer vision, recognize the damage, automatically send it to a bunch of people who can give you quotes, and then there you have it. So you have the ability to really take what was a laborious process and completely digitally intermediate it. The next example is from the research side, from KAIST. And I just had the chance to meet even the professor working on this. It's fascinating. There's already lots and lots of sensors in every city. What if we collected all of that data, right? Essentially create this digital twin of the city and build predictive power. Predictive power around traffic conditions, in fact, even predictive power to anticipate accidents, obviously to avoid the accidents. And one of the use cases that I was talking to him about was, in order to save lives, if you could place your ambulances in the right locations and then route the ambulances through the best routes, you can have a marked difference in what happens during emergencies. And that's really what the vision here is. The vision is to build that digital capability that every city and the multiple constituents who need access to that information. Now, the last example, which I think is very pertinent to large companies, large conglomerates in South Korea, is how, MetaNet has grown, and more importantly, how they have managed to, in some sense, leapfrog the IT system. Because if you think about it, anyone who has a set of existing IT systems for collaboration, for communications, for business applications, and yet has also grown inorganically by buying, merging, what you have is a patchwork of IT, which makes it very hard, because one of the keys for you going forward is not to slow down but to speed up. There's no way to speed up if you can't collaborate, you can't bring the people synergies across the corporation. And so what Microsoft 365, and very specifically Office 365 and Teams does, is really gives you that ability to leapfrog, right? So instead of trying to patch every one of these systems, you can literally have a cloud-based SaaS service, which in fact sets up for the next M&A, for the next merger, so that the pace with which you can consolidate your IT systems is going to be so much faster. And in this particular case, they're also using, this across multiple subsidiaries internationally. They're collaborating using Teams. So it's a great example of how organizations can use some of these new technologies as a way to leap forward to how they, as a business, can work more efficiently. Now, one of the things, as we think about all this technology, all of the use cases across all these industries, we also need to understand deeply the unintended consequences of technology. It's not just about the tech industry, quite frankly, since if we say everyone here is a software company, everyone here is a digital company, this becomes our collective responsibility. Privacy. Clearly going forward, we have to think about privacy as a human right. So if you're collecting data, you need to protect it. You need to ensure that you have transparency and trust. The regulation that we have coming, that will only increase. So that means we need to have an ever-growing posture of how are we ensuring that security and transparency and true value exchange for privacy. Security is another area. In fact, at Microsoft, we see something like 6.5 security events every day. We see something like 400 billion logins. We scan more than 1 billion machines a month. We inspect more than 1 billion malware samples. All that prowess of operational security data has to ultimately, though, be translated into products that protect you. And that's what we're doing, whether it's the Windows Defender or the Office 365 Advanced Threat Protection or the Security Center in Azure, is all about translating that operational security posture we have into security and protection for everyone who is using our services. But we're also exposing this data, just like we are doing with Microsoft 365 and Dynamics 365 for extensibility. We're even doing it for security, because we realize that all security vendors need to come together. Now, we're not stopping there. One of the things that we have called for is the digital equivalent of the Geneva Convention. Because if you think about it, whenever there is a cyber issue, the people who are most impacted by it are citizens of a country or small businesses. And so it's incumbent on us as an industry to come together. In fact, we want nation states also to join this, so that we can protect the most vulnerable of populations. So that's what we want to do around security. And then on AI ethics, when you think about it, there are choices we make as AI creators. These are, I would call them design choices, or principles that guide our design choices. The first thing is, in our case, we've decided that AI should augment human capability. But we also have a set of principles that every designer, every developer at Microsoft is learning and getting grounded in. Fairness, robustness, privacy and security, transparency and inclusion, and accountability, right? So these are things, just like how we all learned how to do threat modeling in security maybe 10, 15 years ago, we all as developers have to learn, and designers have to learn the principles that guide AI and AI development. We also need to lift the software engineering around AI. So for example, let's say we train an AI model for language. The way we do that, end-to-end black box training, is by just training it over top of human corpus data. And when you do that, it incorporates all of the bias that's there in our data. So you need to de-bias it. See these word embeddings that get created, you need to de-bias those word embeddings. So it's kind of like the debugger for AI. So we are pushing the software engineering practice even, so that we put these tools in front of designers and developers so that they can build more ethical AI. And lastly, we have in our own case an ethics board made up of a diverse group of people who are helping us, helping every decision maker, every developer make the right choices about the use cases. Say robustness. One of the key considerations of AI is how robust is your model for a particular use case. That's got to be something that you are really thinking through before you deploy an AI system. So these issues around privacy, cybersecurity, as well as ethical AI, where you now need to ask not just what computers can do, but what computers should do, are real important considerations. Now, I want to close, though, by talking about how digital transformation in our societies has to not only help us as public institutions or commercial institutions truly get the benefits of digital technology, but we also have to figure out a way to get digital technology into parts of our economy, parts of our society, to people in our countries who perhaps don't today have that opportunity to even fully participate in our economies and societies. And locally, I've been really inspired by the work that is happening with Professor Lee in the Korea University. Now, you know, if you think about it, there are 1 billion people in the world who have disabilities. They don't really have the ability to participate in our economies and that economic opportunity that comes with it, right? And so one of the things that Professor Lee is doing is really saying, okay, let's take the latest breakthroughs in the brain-machine interface. It's literally building a statistical model of your brain activity or your intent, and turn that into control for your prosthetic arm or a robotic arm, right? So anyone who is suffering from, you know, who's an amputee or who has Parkinson's, any of these issues can now, just even with the intent, a thought, using BMI, convert it. In fact, he's also doing some phenomenal research around how he can do fast typing, right? One of the things about universal design is that when you design for these use cases, everybody benefits. And so really, it's these kinds of research work and practical application in places where markets don't exist yet is what we have been inspired by, and we have created a variety of programs. AI for Earth for researchers and nonprofits in doing work around environment. AI for humanitarian action, for child care and welfare, as well as refugees and other displaced populations. And AI for accessibility is another program so that we can encourage, sponsor the type of activity that is happening in the research community and in the entrepreneurial community community to help bring about the same benefits of digital technology to everyone out there. So that's really what I wanted to sort of be able to have a chance to talk about today. To me, it always comes down to us being able to live up to our sense of purpose, and right here in Korea, to bring the latest and greatest technology, but to only celebrate how everyone here in Korea is able to empower every person and every organization to achieve more. Thank you all very, very much. Thank you.